guys know I had to leave the mic off. Let's do that one more time. Strategic back again. What's going on, guys? We got a great show for you today. I'm going to bring on my co-host today, V Radio and Walls P. Before they come on, they're in the background right now. Before they come on, I got to say this. We're almost at 30,000 subscribers. Can I get that one more time? I am so excited, man. I'm so happy to be back. I was banned for a minute, but I'm back now, and we got a larger audience, and we got the oldies and the goldies back. T. Williams, David, Tara Simmons, U.S. Patriot Lady. Everybody's in the building. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. Don't forget to hit that like button. I'm motivated. I'm demonetized, but I don't care. Come on. So let me bring my peoples in, man. You guys know V Radio and Walls P. Let me bring them in the building. Let's do it.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? And congratulations on the channel growth, man. Congratulations.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, and I just want the chat to know that it wasn't Strategic's fault that we was running late. That was on me. You know, black folks be late, so. So I just want to let everybody know that that's on your boy. You feel me?
Appreciate your honesty, man. You know what that's called, bro? That's called accountability, man. Good for you.
Yes.
V Radio, what's good, baby?
Well, just another day of living the dream. It's good to be back on. I have been off for a little while because I just had a surgery, so been feeling like crap. So, but it's good to be back, talking to intelligent people.
Appreciate you, V Radio. And V Radio, we pray for you. We hope that you get a speedy recovery, man. It's all love, kid.
Definitely.
So, before we get started, while people are just coming into the live, how about you guys just advertise your channels, let them know a little bit about what you do, where you're from. We've collaborated a lot, but we do have a larger audience. I want to make sure that everybody who's new to the Strategic Eyes channel is also acquainted with your channels as well. So how about we start with Walls P? Let's do it.
Everybody, I'm Walls P. I'm part of the show Matter of Opinion, and don't call it Locker Room Talk, Matter of Opinion, which is a debate show where we speak on news, pretty much whatever topic, whether it's, problems in the home, news going on, law enforcement, whatever it is, we'll debate about it and come to a resolution on it. As far as the sports channel, that's me and my boy June, and it's sports. If you into sports and you want good conversations on sports, news that's going on with sports and everything, hop over to Don't Call It Locker Room Talk.
We appreciate that. Let's give a big share to Walls P. Sorry. V Radio, please let us know what's going on. Let everybody know about your channel. I know we collaborate for a very long time. In fact, all three of us has collaborated for a very long time. V, let them know what's good, where to find you.
Well, hi, I'm V Radio, also known as Neil Kiernan. I've been a podcaster since about 2008. I took a break for a while and then I came back. My content is it's meant to appeal to both the right and the left to some extent. So I don't really get into a lot of right versus left stuff. I more just try to address common current events and try to break them down into their absolute truth. So I actually like to cultivate an audience that doesn't always agree with me and maybe not even with each other. Looking to try to make people think. That's really what it's about over at V Radio.
Perfect, man. Thank you so much. These are two awesome channels. They copy. I can't even speak because I drank like 3 beers before we came on. Shouldn't have did that for the first live. I was celebrating. I'm sorry, but they cover wide-ranging topics. They're really good people. Please subscribe to their channel. And, definitely show love to my channel as well. I just got to say that my channel has been demonetized. That means you will not be able to send me any super chats. I think there is a simulcast on the V Radio show and the Walls P channel. If you want to go and support them, go over to their channels, super chat them, show them some love. If you want to show me some love, you're going to have to either Cash App me, PayPal, or join the Patreon, all right? So if any of my moderators are inside of the chat, please put those links there. I would really appreciate it. And if you want to Cash App me, you can see the name right underneath me. It's money sign Strategic Eyes, all right? So that being said, guys, we're going to be doing a reaction to the Tom MacDonald new video that just came out. It's called Facts, right? Have any of you seen this before?
No, I haven't seen this one yet. I do like Tom MacDonald, though.
All right. Yeah. So I like Tom MacDonald too. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say I saw it, but I saw a part of it, but I stopped it because I was like, I don't want to see the whole thing, whatever. So I stopped it. Yeah.
Right. You know, so we're all about honesty here. This is going to be a reaction video. I saw like the first 30 seconds and then I said, you know what? I want to do a reaction to it and I want to do an honest reaction to it. So the first 30 seconds I've already seen. After that, I have not seen it. V Radio hasn't seen it, and Walls P has only seen a small little tinsy bit, itty bitty piece of it. I gotta say, guys, I'm coming in as biased and conflicted because I like Tom MacDonald, but I don't like Ben Shapiro. And my hatred for Ben, not hatred, that's a little strong, but my dislike for Ben Shapiro is not even necessarily with his politics, but is with his delivery and his disposition, his demeanor. I don't like the way that he delivers his message. I don't like that air of I don't know, like bourgeois that he has, like he's better than you, you know. And I think that even though sometimes he says things that are facts, it's said in a divisive way, if that makes any sense.
Sure.
You know, David said, do I need to sugarcoat it? I hope not, David. You know, but you know, there's a reason why we identify some people as good orators. There's a reason why you know, some people rise up to be good leaders or become historical figures, because they know how to communicate things that we already know or we should know, right? So that's why everybody resoundingly reveres Martin Luther King. That's why people who hate Obama, can't stand the dude, think he's the worst president on the planet. And believe me, he's done some real messed up things when he was president. The way he was killing people out there with those goddamn drones, man, people don't talk about that. That was war crimes. The double knock where they hit somebody and then when the ambulance come, they hit it again and kill the ambulance people. That's a reality. That happened on Obama. But Democrat or Republican, they always say the guy was he was a good orator. He was a good speaker, because he had that gift. I just don't feel like Ben Shapiro knows how to reach anybody outside of his base, right? But that's my bias. I might feel something different after I hear the song at least. So what do you guys think?
I didn't even know Ben Shapiro was in the song. He's on the list of the right-leaning people that I listen to periodically to kind of, because remember, I'm left-leaning in a lot of things. But he's somebody that I listen to because, I mean, like I took a master class, like I actually subscribed to the master class service, and you know, Noam Chomsky said, if you want to keep your critical thinking skills activated, then you have to actually expose yourself to people who don't agree with you about everything. But in general, there are things that I think he's really great on, in particular debating. I would never call him an inspiring speaker per se, but he does tend to pin people down pretty well. I think my first exposure to him was actually him against Black Lives Matter. And I hate to say it, but he broke it down pretty well. And
wait here. That's like easy. Anybody could break down Black Lives Matter. Come on, man. That's like debating with a toddler. Come on.
Okay, well, right. I'm just saying he gave out the facts and he had the statistics, and I happen to know they were correct because I had studied the issue. But yeah, that was it. I mean, I don't agree with everything he says, and I think especially if something is something he's emotional about, then he'll be less rational about it.
Yeah. I don't like how he's treating what's her name again? Candace Owens.
Yeah, there's something weird. The right is starting to fight itself. It's really it's not just them. It's insane. Like Crowder and them are going at it, and like I don't know.
But if you look at how she's handling it classy, and he's like really emotional, like a little bit big baby, whatever. Anyway, so that's where we're at with that.
I think for me with Ben Shapiro, like V Radio said, he is great at pinning people down when it comes to debating, and the fact that he deal with facts. Like, few things I may disagree with, but for the most part, like, he be kind of spot on with stuff. So I really don't have like, I wouldn't say I don't like the guy. Like, I don't have any like opinion on him. I just listen to his arguments, his points, and everything like that. And you know, I'm like, yo, brother does his research and he knows what he's talking about for the most part. So I have no ill will against him or anything like that. No negative thoughts about him.
All right, well, fair enough. Let's, listen, he's a big part of the song, so I guess let's jump into it. Let's see what he has to say. All right, let me add this, and we're off with the races. All right, you guys ready?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Hold on, we got a going on.
Okay. Oh, because you know what? When we bring that extra screen in, people are gonna have to get muted. So mute yourselves, and when you want to say something, unmute yourself. So go ahead and mute yourself, V Radio, and then we'll get started. All right, I'll do it for you, V Radio. Let's go.
They call me offensive, controversial. It's only 2 genders.
Okay, this thing's acting up. Let's see here. If we get it better when we make it small. Oh, you know what I'm gonna do?
You want me to do it? You want me if I can do it?
No, I know how to do it. This is the thing. I need to do it on a different browser, bro. So let me just. I'm gonna take this one off. Put us back. I'm sorry. Put us back here. And if it doesn't work that way, then you definitely can do it. But I know when I put it like 2 different browsers, like I'm using Internet Explorer and I use Chrome, then it usually works out pretty good.
At least I got my freedom of speech back now. You know, people want to silence people. People want to silence.
Yeah, we were being censored.
I know, man. Like, yo.
I had actually muted myself, but I used one on my mic. I don't know if that would have happened.
Oh, that's why I couldn't see. I couldn't see my phone.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
See, he want to make sure that authority's down. I want to see the mute. You feel me?
that's messed up, man.
Nah, I'm joking.
You trying to say I'm YouTube? I'm YouTube now? Damn, bro. All right, I'm gonna bring this up, man.
Go ahead.
All right, let's see here. Share the screen. Boom. All right.
They call me offensive, controversial. It's only 2 genders, boys and girls. They can't cancel my message because I'm the biggest independent rapper in the whole freaking world. Claim that I'm racist, yeah, alright. I'm not ashamed because I'm white. If every Caucasian's a bigot, I guess every Muslim's a terrorist. Every liberal is right. I don't want to talk to folks who don't get it. Go woke, go broke, no hope, it's pathetic. Pro-choice, pronouns, pro-love, you're progressive. But you ain't pro-gun, no one to protect it. Where the American flag's at? Remember when people would hang those? They've been taken down, they all been replaced with BLM flags or a rainbow. This ain't rap, this ain't money, cars and clothes. We ain't selling drugs, we ain't gonna overdose. We ain't pushing guns, ain't promoting stripper poles. We won't turn your sons into thugs or your daughters into hoes.
We gotta stop this.
Yeah.
Remember, you know, we can't play all the way through because it'll be copyright issues. So we'll get back into it. But what do you think so far?
You know what's powerful?
Go ahead.
I think I'm. Yeah, it's feedback. You might have to minimize that screen. And you minimize. Nah. Got it.
What about
hello? Yeah, it's still. Hold on. Let me see if I can.
Now we're all out in the mountains.
All right. Add to mute. Can y'all hear? Can y'all hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
All right. Add to mute the video that Strategic was playing. But yeah, it's crazy how everything he says is spot on. Because it's crazy how everything he's saying about rap as far as turning girls into hoes, this, that, and the third, like all that is not like is associated with rap music. Like it's crazy.
Right.
You know, and I used to rap back in the day, so for me, it's like it kind of hit home because it's like, yo, where did this foolishness and hip hop, you know, like just come from? Like I understand you had artists who had like songs that were derogatory and stuff like that, but that was like 1 or 2 tracks. Now this is mainstream. Like people don't even know how to make regular music, and then he's talking about, you know, the pronouns, this, that, and the third, stuff that a lot of people find is controversial. And I believe the main reason why people find it controversial is because they're reaching the children. I think that's the main reason why people have an issue with it. Because as far as LGBTQ, because they've been around us for however long. So people can, you know, we've been dealing with, you know, the LGBTQ for the longest. I think it's the pushing of the agenda that is the problem. Like, me and my kids was watching the Buzz Lightyear movie, you know, and this is innocent children, and it's being pushed on it, like as far as stuff for children, that stuff shouldn't be in it. Let them be children. Let them enjoy, watching a cartoon for what it is, so to speak. But
Right.
I digress. But you said you disagree, so I want to hear your
I want to hear V Radio before I jump in. Go ahead, V.
I think he does an excellent job. I mean, it came back to that original, the thing that started it all was that video White Boy. And this seems to be pretty good in heading in the same direction. And one of the things he points out that I find really infuriating is that if you notice right now in racial activism, it's okay to generalize all white people. You can do that all day. You can say white people do this, white people do that, but they don't want any other race to be generalized. Every other race has to be judged individually, but all white people are accountable for X, Y, or Z thing that they're about to say, whether it's something as trivial as not being able to use seasoning in their food, or whether or not they're imperialists. And like when you get really deep into it, like I've done different episodes about this. You might remember the video that I played from The Root with that lady Brittany Cooper, who's like a Rutgers professor, who's saying things like, people of color were traveling the oceans peacefully, trading with one another before white people showed up and were imperialists and they act like literally only white people ever did anything like that. And then again, they credit the whole race with that kind of stuff. That's the kind of direction that we've been heading in, is this they don't recognize that not judging someone by the color of your skin includes Caucasian.
Right,
and he's an excellent wordsmith. I think I wish he'd slow down a little bit. I like it better when a rapper has like more smoothness. So, but other than that, yeah.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, so far, he's dropping things that we've been talking about on all three of our channels, things that most people are aware of, the whole, white people are evil kind of bull crap, we're victims, the whole society's against us. But in reference to what Walls P said, as far as him saying that most people have an issue with the whole pronoun things because they feel like it's geared towards the children. The reason why I said I disagree is that I agree and I disagree, right? Yes, there is an agenda, or at least there appears to be an agenda that the children are being targeted, right? We see that every day, right? We see the debate that happened on MSNBC that's gone viral between Joy Reid and what is it, the Moms for Patriots or something like that, where we're talking about the books and you find out that book is just utterly disgusting. But I think adults are upset with this stuff too, because if you don't get the pronouns right, you get canceled as an adult.
Right.
If you get ostracized, you get called a bigot, you get called, anti-gay, sex, whatever you want to, the ism is of the day. If you don't call a guy with a beard and long hair a woman just because they said that they identify as a woman. Like for me, if you are trans and you are actually owning Moms for Liberty, my apologies, thanks to Aaron Hawks. If you're owning the lifestyle of living as a woman, you got the surgery, you shave yourself, you carry yourself as a woman, you dress like a woman 24/7, you have breasts, or, whatever. It's much easier to say, oh, that's a woman, than when you have these new age trans walking around that they purposely grow up big bushy beards. Have you seen these guys? I mean, or ladies, because I'm not trying to hurt anybody, and then they'll have long hair and they'll have their eyebrows done, big bushy. I can't even grow a beard, bro. I'm perpetually in puberty and I'm almost 40 years old. I can't even grow a beard. They got big, bushy, healthy mountain man beards. And if you call them sir by accident, they go crazy on you.
I've done a lot of deep dives on that topic, and I didn't actually even address that part of what he said. But yeah, it's and that's the biggest problem with it, is they want it all the way down to kindergarten. And there's just, when it comes to that kind of stuff, I often say that the far left, because it's not all the left as much as they would like to try to pretend that they are. The far left seems to go through this process where it starts with, whether it's, say, critical race theory in schools or trans stuff in schools, or say the drag queens in schools. It's been the same thing. It starts with, it's not happening. Nobody actually supports that. And then once you get more evidence, then like, okay, well, maybe some people support that, but it's still not happening. And then the next phase is it is happening and it should be happening. And if you don't like it, you're a bigot. Like it goes through those 3 phases of denial. And then and it starts to make you think that what it amounts to is that they know it's happening. They want it to happen from the beginning, but they know that if they, don't do things gradually, then people will not be accepting of it. But the ones that are a little less bright about it are the ones that you just find coping and just making excuses for every little thing. It's like I used to have a guy on his channels called Crowdsourced Politics. He was on my Discord all the time, and I would show him because I'm working on a documentary right now about this topic. And, I'd show him clips of like kids that are doing very explicit stuff that they're all denying is supposedly happening. Like they're saying it's not happening. And like, and he would always like, because he's lefty, he would just go into cope mode where he need to go, well, that's not necessarily very sexual. And there's not really anything wrong with, nudity. It's like you just like when those naked guys are walking by the kids at Pride, for example, and
I've seen it with my own eyes.
Right. And they keep making like greater and greater excuses. And then it just, so some of them, I think they don't realize what they've gotten themselves into, but because we're so polarized right now, you're supposed to do whatever your tribe says, whatever that is at that moment. And independent thought will not be tolerated. And it's not just the left that does this, but I'd say that the difference is this. If I went to a protest right now, or a riot more specifically, I would be safe standing next to the Proud Boys with my Bernie shirt on. I would not be safe next to Antifa.
That's deep.
Yeah.
All right, let's get back to the video, guys.
Let me say one point too. It's true what V Radio said, because when you look at it, that's basically what happened with hip hop. When it came to our generation growing up, where you heard the songs that were derogatory and stuff like that, especially with women, they'll be like, yo, that's not me. I'ma just rock with it. So slowly and gradually, as the music started getting more and more disrespectful and hitting mainstream, you didn't have much people protesting against it, so to speak. And it's like, well, freedom of speech, it's entertainment, it's artwork, this, that, and the third. So it gradually started taking form, getting worse and worse, where it's like, okay, let's see how much we could put more out there in mainstream, little by little. Now, if you don't put out a song mainstream that's trashing, telling women to be hoes and all of this stuff like that, you're not really gonna get no spin. And I think like we allowed that. I think our generation allowed that. So now the next generation coming up, it's like taking full circle. We're seeing what we've been letting, slip through the cracks, and now it's mainstream.
All right, good point. All right, let's get back to the video. Let's get through this as much as we can, and we can have, because I'm long-winded. We're all long-winded. We're doing a reaction, so let's try and keep our comments a little bit shorter, so we can get through this, and then we could go crazy at the end of it.
Got you.
Let me pause everybody. I mean, not pause, but mute it up.
I don't care if I offend you. I was put here to upset you. You can cry and you can scream. You can riot in the streets. You defunded the police. Now there's no one to protect you. I hope I offend you. I ask myself, what would Ben do? Let's just keep it real, facts. Don't care how you feel, man. If you want my pronouns, I'm the man. I'm the man who don't respect.
Let's look at the stats. I've got the facts. My money like Lizzo, my pockets are fat. Homie, I'm epic. Don't be a whack. Dog, it's a yarmulke. Homie, no cap. Look at the graphs. Look at my charts. You're blowing money on strippers and cars. You go into prison. I'm on television. Dog, no one knows who you are. Keep hating on me on the internet. My comment section all woke Karens. Then I make racks off compound interest. Y'all live with your parents. Nikki, take some notes. I just did this for fun. All my people download this. Let's get a Billboard #1.
This ain't rap. This ain't money.
We got to stop it there, because that was his verse. Like, all right, let's start with V this time. What's your reaction to that?
I can't say that anything he's saying is wrong.
Right.
But it's hilarious to watch Ben Shapiro, who's normally such a serious guy. Like, this would be like Jordan Peterson rapping. I'd be like, what am I watching right now? it was just really hilarious. And the funny thing is because his voice sounds a little different, I almost think he could actually be a rapper if he wanted to be, but I don't know. That was pretty crazy.
I mean, I'm wondering, did he write that? Somebody said that all his lines came from his tweets, but did he write that, or did
I'm
Tom
hard
write
pressed
that
to believe he wrote it. I'm hard pressed to believe that he wrote it. Like, because here's the thing: when you're in the studio, man, the takes that you got to do to get the full, because like his whole persona doesn't even come off the way he speak.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So to get that persona, do you know how many takes that you got to take to be like, okay, you got to do it this way. You got to do it this way. All right, put a little more swag in your voice. But the bars was hot though. Like, and I like how he kind of took that shot at Nicki Minaj. So
yo, leave Nicki alone, my G.
Yeah.
David is a big Tom fan. He said Tom wrote the song.
Okay. No I'm rocking a yarmulke, so that means no cap. Like, but yeah, everything he said was spot on. So, but yeah, the flow and everything, like, hey, I like it, man. I like it. I like it.
When he said, you know, I'm earning. So I mean, I'm paraphrasing. He's earning off a compound interest, and you still live at home with your parents. That was all right.
Yeah,
a little dig. I mean, listen, he's a freaking dweeb. I'm not gonna lie, he's a fucking nerd. But I respect the fact that that he had the balls to do this.
Yes,
and I respect Tom MacDonald that, you know, he actually, I would imagine it was his idea to say, hey, let's get this guy on a track, right? Like that's a moneymaker. Like, so Tom already, you know, he has a very big conservative base, and then you get like the Prince of Conservatism on your track outside of his element. Yeah, that's a crazy PR. Yo, that's move. That's a boss move right there. You know, musically at least.
Yeah, so, and just the fact of having a guy on there who people say is racist to the core or whatever, or don't like him, and now you have him doing something that a lot of black folks would be like, yo, you're stealing our culture and all of this stuff. So like, it's so much that could go into it. Like, yo, I loved it. I loved it. Because it could be, it's like, yo, at the same time I'm spitting facts, I'm also trolling you. You know? So,
Now, David liked the whole Lizzo thing. I actually feel sorry for Lizzo, because, but then it's kind of like a double-sided thing, because she kind of throws the fatness in people's face and try to normalize it a little bit. But you know she's not happy with herself. But because she puts herself out there, she then makes herself a target. And so people constantly talk about Lizzo. It's like, at the end of the day, I have a lot of empathy for people. It's like, yo, whatever she does, just leave her alone, man. She's a human being. Because I, you know, in a lot of the work that I do, people like that sometimes end up ending themselves. You know what I'm saying? Because they're getting attacked from so many different quarters. And this didn't begin with Ben Shapiro. Everybody does this. You know what I mean? To her. So it is what it is. Anything from you, V, before we go back to the video?
Just that as somebody who's been morbidly obese for a while, I don't understand the fat normalization movement. I think that's really terrible. And I say that as somebody who is. I'm like, what are you people doing? No. Anyway, go ahead.
All right, cool. All right, let's mute it up.
Cars and clothes, we ain't selling drugs, we ain't gonna overdose. We ain't pushing guns, ain't promoting stripper poles. We won't turn your sons into thugs or your daughters into hoes. I don't care if I offend you, I was put here to upset you. You can cry and you can scream, you can riot in the streets. You defunded the police, now there's no one to protect you. I hope I offend you. I ask myself what would Ben do. Let's just keep it real, facts. Don't care how you feel, man. If you want my pronouns, I'm the man who don't respect you. You mad, you mad, you mad. I guess it's cool to be the victim, well, I'ma be the man. You sad, you sad, you sad. You just try to get attention, being triggered's all you have. You mad, you mad, you mad, you You blame everybody else for every problem that you can. You sad, you sad, you sad. I will never say I'm sorry, I ain't taking nothing back. I don't care if I offend you. I was put here to upset you. You can cry and you can scream. You can riot in the streets. You defunded the police.
So I keep forgetting to like unmute myself. I think that might be it. Like I think with modern rap songs, you get like two verses. That's it.
So do rappers sing that much? Like I'm used to that not being the case.
Yeah, for the 50 Cent kind of bought that era of singing on hooks and stuff like that. Well,
wait, 50 Cent.
Ja Rule.
There we go. Yeah.
But 50 Cent, but let me rephrase. No, 50 Cent has been doing it. It's just
of course
people don't realize 50 Cent was doing it till he hit mainstream, because his album Power of the Dollar, when he was underground before like he was mainstream and stuff, because the reason why he had beef with Ja Rule was because when he was trying to get put on, you know, he's reaching out to people trying to make moves. Ja Rule was one of the people, and they had a beef, and you know, Ja Rule shut him down. And 50 hold grudge. So once he got mainstream, it's like, yo, I'm gonna destroy you, dude. Right. But yeah, 50 Cent was singing on, hooks and stuff like that, and Ja Rule made it mainstream, But now, like, yo, rap, you got some songs where it's auto-tuned the whole time, where they like sing rapping. So yeah.
It's in a weird place right now. I just personally feel like I like the song. I mean, he's back into his groove of what really made him famous. And that includes making people feel uncomfortable and telling them uncomfortable truths, right?
Yeah.
Like when he's saying we're not, and I guess he's talking about white culture or America at large. We're not going to put your kids on stripper poles. We're not gonna, I'm paraphrasing, of course, we're not gonna make them into thugs. And he's not lying. It's hip hop culture that does these things for the most part, right? But musically, it sounds the same. It tends to sound the same with the kind of singing, same kind of like hook that he does. And I feel like he's immensely talented. I want to see him start experimenting more. I want to see him get out of this comfort zone, say the same thing, but say it in a different way. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know. What do you think?
Here's the thing about that though. As an artist, because this used to happen to me too. Like I'll sit up here and write a verse and everything like that, write a song, and in my mind, I'm thinking I'm coming off different with my delivery. Like I wholeheartedly think I'm coming off different. Like my flow is different, this, that, and the third. But when people hear it, they're like, no, dude, it sounds the same. So I think that's what he might be doing. Like, I'm not saying that's 100%, but I'm just saying, I think that's what he might be doing. But then again, if he wrote Ben Shapiro's verse and Ben Shapiro's flow sound a bit different from his, then he is capable of doing it. Because do y'all agree that Ben Shapiro's verse sound like a little bit different, like flow-wise?
Yeah, but you acting like they can't just cut that up in the studio. They can make your flow sound however you want just by the way that they edit it in the studio.
So I think it's also I know what you're saying. At least when he's doing like his standard rap songs, like because I'm a metal singer, that's why I didn't mind the singing they were adding. I was just like, that's different. Because you got to remember, like, my first exposure to rap growing up in the ghetto was NWA, like the old school, straight out of Compton, like we're just rapping the whole time. But what I was going to say was that he did kind of get what we call in metal the AC/DC effect, where everything's kind of the same, and it's still good. Again, he's very good with lyrics, but I could see what you're saying. And it's one of the reasons why I used to tune into all of his new songs. And now I don't do it quite as fast as I used to. I always get around to them, but used to be really important to me, but now it's kind of like, well, I'll take my time, see what comes up.
See what I'm saying? The word is important. We need Tom. Like I said in a Tom MacDonald review I did maybe years ago at this, I said we need to protect Tom, but we're also listening for the entertainment value. Tom is not our civil rights leader. Tom is not our politician. Tom is an artist. So we're also tuning into the actual art form, the music. And sometimes sound the same. Now, David made a good point that he did a country song and a pop song. I think I heard the country song. I liked it. I didn't hear the pop song. So somebody dropped me a link at some point and I'll go check that out, or I'll go search for it myself. But when he drops his mainstream songs, what we would call his singles, those songs that are supposed to push the album, they kind of end up sounding the same. They have the same kind of hook. Da, 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 da. You know, we got like the heavy metal kind of, not heavy metal, but the rock. I don't know, man. I'm not really proficient in those other genres, but he's got that same kind of hook. And it's like, dude, you could do something different. You are immensely talented. You're not the average. You can do something different. You're doing it by yourself. There's nobody to stop you from experimenting. There's no executive that's gonna tell you, oh no, you know what? You haven't rapped about bitches and hoes, so you know. And that's another thing.
But
I gotta say, like, and then you can jump in, Wally, because we're done. We're not gonna go any further because it's gonna hit us with a copyright, which probably already will, because he's just gonna keep singing his hook until it's over. So we're done with this. But we have to also acknowledge the fact that a lot of the reason why we have this toxic radioactive conditioning inside of our rap music or rap genre is because a lot of it is what the executives want them to do. A lot of these artists are being pushed into doing these things by the executives. And the executives aren't exactly Black or Latino, you know? So I blame the Black community because we consume this stuff, but I'm also not naive enough to believe that there isn't outside forces that are pushing this agenda. And I don't know why. I don't know if you want a perpetual underclass of young people who don't respect themselves so that they can have menial labor. It's the same thing that's going to segue us into our next conversation, which is the migrant situation. Why are they allowing all these migrants into the country? You know, what is the agenda? So that same reason why we have forces that refuse to seal up the border and allow hundreds of thousands of migrants in, it seems like there's the same type of agenda to keep pushing this toxic music to young Black and Latino people. And I don't understand it.
It's an interesting theory because, I mean, I studied a lot about how much power record companies used to have. They certainly have less now. You know, but one of the things I kind of figured out was that, if you remember, for the longest time, there really wasn't such thing as a classic rap. Like, there were very few songs that were allowed to continue into popularity past a certain point, and it almost felt like the record companies want it that way. Like, they prefer you to be a one-hit wonder because then you have no power at the bargaining table. You know, like, so you take MC Hammer, he was like on top of the world for a while, and then after You Can't Touch This faded, he was gone, and then they bring in a new guy. And anyway, your first record contract is always crappy because they have all the power. But now with the internet, I mean, a guy like Tom MacDonald, he's built on YouTube, which makes me wonder, in addition to that, though, is there pressure on him to continue to putting out content because now he's subject to YouTube and he's probably making a lot of his money from YouTube?
Yeah, it's a fact, man. Yeah, that might be the case. He's got 4.32 million subscribers. He sells albums, don't get it wrong, and he has his own distribution situation where he's like literally delivering the albums himself in many instances. So a lot of that money is coming back to him, and God bless him for being such a good business person. But you better believe that he's monetized, that he's got 3.9 million views on this, and it just came out in the 26. A lot of his money is going to come from YouTube.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I don't want to break up your thought process. Go ahead. I'll time it out.
I didn't have much more. It was just that they do control what people get to see if they have they're just less powerful than they used to be. Like the grunge thing that took over metal, like that wasn't organic. The companies got together and said, we're not going to allow anything before 1992 anymore. They stopped calling, like stopped returning the calls of platinum bands. And then, so those bands would say, well, we're not going to do that. We're just going to go to some other record company. And then they found out, no, all of the record companies did that. There was like a cartel or a collusion. So they do work together towards certain ends. Whether or not they're trying to engineer what's going on in the ghetto, I don't know. But it is that music and culture that leads to these kids not caring about school. You know, it leads to, like, my sister, you know, who still lives there, has kids by like 3 different dads. You know, it leads to like all kinds of breakdown in their basic morality, you know, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah. What I was gonna say was, I
some
do
technical
agree.
issues. Sorry.
Oh, what happened?
Good. No.
Oh,
You
no,
probably
I was gonna
you guys
say.
couldn't even hear it. You're good to go.
Oh, okay, yeah. Everything that you guys said about, you know, the executives and everything like that when it comes to hip hop, all that is true. But as of right now in hip hop, that bad behavior is really falls on the artists, because a lot of these artists know the music is destructive, but they choose to continue to do it on their own. And you had artists who blatantly said, like, yo, I like NBA Youngboy came out with a interview and was like, yo, my music is doing so much destruction to people, their lives. So many people lost lives because of my music. I can't make the change now, but eventually I will make the change. You got Cardi B and all them don't even let their children listen to the music, but they're willingly pumping it out. And here's the thing. There's how I know a lot of people are probably going to throw shade, but I look at it as the artists that are out now, a lot of them do not really have talent. And the reason why is because they can only make negative music. They can only make music that is about killing and all of these things because it's easier to do it.
Yeah.
It's so much. It's all like everything in life. It's easier to do the bad than it is to do good.
Right.
Just think how easy it is to eat bad and how hard it is to eat healthy. You know, how easy it is to save your own butt by throwing somebody under the bus, and how much harder it is, you know, to be accountable for it. Like we see in life, man, the good things, the bad things are so much easier to do than the good things. And that's what these artists who I believe don't really have the talent, they just found an easy niche, an easy moneymaker, and they don't give a damn how many lives it destroy. They're going to continue to do it. Because here's the thing. A lot of these artists now are a lot of artists, top artists like Lil Wayne and stuff like that, they're the ones who are signing these artists to deals. So if any of them was like, yo, this is the time to make the change, let's bring out this type of music and not this. But they're all get along game. So I believe that wholeheartedly. The brainwashing,
they're not really signing them to these major artists. Like they're Lil Wayne and all these folks have imprint labels. They still work for the major labels.
Oh yeah, they do.
So,
but
you know,
but wouldn't it be easier, especially nowadays with, like, you know, social media and stuff like this? Like, I guess my thing is, if you already have a hit out there and you decide to go independent, I think it would be easier for you to continue, you know, making money and everything like in an independent space, like a Tom MacDonald, because Tom MacDonald did it from scratch. So I believe that, like, what's his name? Sir Mix-a-Lot is still making money off of freaking Baby Got Back.
Yeah.
After the one hit. So you mean to tell me these jokers that got a hit, they can't go independent? Like, I think it's a choice. I don't know.
Maybe.
I think it's a choice.
All right, we gotta keep the show moving though, guys.
Let's get
two things. Number one, I'm gonna play. This is from a channel called U.S. Immigration. I don't know the political leaning on this channel. I don't care. All right. What they did do is get a montage of many of the news channel clippings that we've actually covered on our own channels and kind of put it in one. It's 8 minutes long, but we're not going to listen to the whole thing. But while we're playing it, I already watched it. So while we're playing it, I'm just going to log off real quick and use the bathroom. And then I'll come back and then we'll stop it and we'll have a discussion. Okay?
All right.
You got it.
Bring this in real quick. And
you mean you're not going to bring the camera in the bathroom with you?
I'd make a lot of people jealous, unfortunately.
Strategic after dark.
This is the strategic OnlyFans.
The OnlyFans. I'll have to, get this members only. A lot of people will feel inadequate. So West Indian bread right here, man.
man.
All right, let me play this up and then this interesting stuff.
Right.
See if we can make it big, make it look
Our mayor is a slumlord.
City council members and immigration advocates blasting Mayor Eric Adams and his administration for implementing a policy that evicts migrant families with children.
We're still getting thousands of migrants and asylums who are coming here. And so we want to give clear messages on what's expected. The overwhelming number of people who are there, they want to take the next step in their American dream. But you do have a numerical minority that we want to give clarity to, that you can't come into our systems and be disruptive and in their neighborhoods.
More than 80% of New Yorkers say that the recent migrant influx is a serious problem.
When migrants first came to sanctuary cities, Democrats rolled out the red carpet. They pitched them wedding tents, filled them with recliners, popcorn machines, Xboxes. Leaders of sanctuary cities campaigned on the issue and boasted about all the illegals they'd let in.
Protect our immigrants during the COVID, our immigrants stayed. They provided a service for the city, and I believe we need to continue to make sure this is a sanctuary city.
But house guests can only stay for so long before getting on your nerves. The migrants are now causing trouble in the communities that were forced to take them in.
Dozens of migrants refusing to leave this hotel in Midtown Manhattan. This Venezuelan man saying he's tired and cold, questioning if this is the harsh reality of the American dream.
In New York City, where officials tell us resources are overwhelmed. Across public hospitals in New York City over the last year, nearly 30,000 visits by migrants and 300 new babies born to migrant moms. Staff here at Bellevue Hospital tell us they're eager to help, but the numbers are tough.
This has been the hardest work that I've ever done, but it's been the most impactful work that I've ever done.
And most of the visits to the taxpayer-funded legal clinic here are by migrants.
Our clinics are full, and there are waiting lists, and people are turning people away or referring them to other places.
Randy Redkin from New York's Legal Assistance Group says so many migrants are asking for legal help on asylum representation and health care access. Now, she says, American citizens who need legal assistance with issues like eviction and insurance have to wait up to 10 weeks.
If you ask me, do we need more resources for legal services? I would say absolutely yes.
Parents in Brooklyn outraged after the city decided to use their kids' school to house migrants who had to be evacuated from the Floyd Bennett field.
What happened last night at Madison High School is a perfect example of what not to do. These kids and their families were punished for the failure of Joe Biden to secure our border. It is unacceptable that our schools have to accept migrants and cancel school for students who are supposed to go to school and learn every single day. Look, I think this is on the mayor's administration. I think that they've opened up the door and really rolled out the red carpet for illegal immigration here when they said, we're welcoming all immigrants, and we do welcome immigrants, but you have to do that legally. And now that they've done this, they have to come up with a plan that doesn't affect our local students, our families, our residents, our constituents, New York.
All right. You guys can hear me good?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right, before we do we're echoing. All right, let me mute
I
this.
am,
Right.
not you.
All right,
No, they are not anymore. There we go.
All right, we fixed it. All right, so that's kind of like a taste, but before we even do that, I just want to play one more for you guys. And this one is going to be what's happening in Denver, because everybody's talking about what's happening in New York City, but Denver, they've got a massive problem out there. And it's really sad, man. It's really freaking sad. Let's see if I
with
can
migrants.
Yeah, with the migrant situation. I don't want to get into this because I think this is the biggest issue. This and the economy is going to be the biggest issue in the 2024 election. So prove me wrong, guys. All right, let me bring this up real quick. All right, check this one out.
Tonight, one of Colorado's largest hospitals facing a crisis. Physicians at Denver Health telling us they treat everyone who comes to the ER, regardless of immigration status or ability to pay. But they're struggling to handle a spike in migrant patients.
It's been really, really hard to take care of them, both in terms of their inability to pay, but also just the sheer volume of patients that we weren't expecting.
Denver has a population of 700,000 people, and just the last year, nearly 40,000 migrants have arrived, the mayor declaring a state of emergency. More than 8,000 migrants have come to Denver Health for care, and most of that is coming out of the hospital's pocket. The hospital says they need more help from federal and state government to pay for over $10 million in unpaid migrant medical bills so far. Outside a shelter, we meet Mary Anise and her 3 sons. She's being treated here for Parkinson's. I'm very grateful. In my country, it was...
Yo, bro, I'm sorry to stop it right here, but this is like the 3rd time I've heard that folks have illegally come here to be treated for like major diseases that cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to be treated with. Like, how do you guys feel about that before we continue?
So funny story, probably about, had to be about 10 years ago. Bernie Sanders used to be against illegal immigration, and it's because he is pro social programs, and he recognizes that isn't going to work if your tax base is not paying into the system. So if you have people who are not contributing to it and then they're taking from it, then you have a problem. He was that way for many years. I mean, he would like, immigrants to be able to come here legally, but if they're not being taxed, and they're not contributing, then they shouldn't be able to take advantage of our stuff. And that's, and I still believe that way, as much as, I care about everybody in every part of the world, but like, it's kind of like if you come to the potluck and you didn't bring anything, you're kind of expected to contribute. And yeah, as far as like getting treatment for major stuff, like that's, it's not even easy sometimes to get Medicaid to do that, so like, and then you're expecting like us to take care of people who don't, like just got here, I guess. I don't, it's a really messed up situation, especially the insane volume of them. And then the waiting list, like it takes me 3 months to get in to see a doctor, like for any kind of specialty, I'm usually waiting around forever, and so are my kids.
Yeah. Yo, she's go ahead, Wally.
For me, like, I don't like it. It is frustrating because the way I view it, man, you just got people literally milking the system, because there is like, they don't seem to have any plan on how to actually get the people to start becoming citizens. Like it's like they're doing this but have no plan intact whatsoever on how to solve this solution. It's just, hey, we'll do this, come over here, we'll take everybody, you could seek refuge. But in all honesty, I feel like this is a result of US, like the foundation of America is smacking it in its face. What do I mean by that? The foundation of America was basically established as a refuge from people that were seeking refuge, from England, and that's how they formed America. To, looking for refuge from persecution. So I think the core of America is standing now where it's like, hey, we're gonna add refuge for immigrants that are coming in that are, being persecuted, because a lot of them say, oh, we're seeking refuge from the tumultuous situations that are back at home or whatever. Yeah, that's fine and dandy, but if you don't have a solution how to get them to become citizens or whatever the case may be, then you're going to have this problem. Because think about it. If I'm having a problem in America and I try and sneak into Canada, what do you think is going to happen? They're going to ship my behind right back across the border. So if you don't have a plan in place, I'm sorry, you can't allow it at all, because this is what you're going to see.
Let me tell you the mental dilemma that this topic puts me in, because anybody who watches the Strategic Guys show know that I try and be an empathetic person. At least I feel I am. Some people may disagree. It is what it is, right? So we look at this young lady, man, this beautiful woman, right, with 3 children. She left her country to come here. She has Parkinson's disease. There's no father that we know about. It pains me because I want to help everybody, right? But let's think about what's going to happen here, right? So first of all, to get asylum, you have to have these 5 things. You have to have fear of persecution due to your race, religion, nationality, political opinion, or the inclusion into a particular social group like, LGBTQ, etc., right? They don't have these issues in most of South America, so most of these people don't qualify. So this young woman is here, right? Parkinson is a degenerative disease which means that eventually this woman is going to end up in a wheelchair and is going to require nursing home support to survive. And then, unfortunately, God forbid, one day she'll cease to be with us, right? That's unfortunately what Parkinson does, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the meantime, there's 3 children that we're gonna have to take care of her, spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to take care of her, which was the job of her country, the place that she's a national of. And then after, and God forbid this doesn't happen for many, 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 many years, because I don't want anything bad to happen to this woman. But if something happens to her sooner rather than later, we're not going to have to take care of her 3 children. Meanwhile, we could barely feed our own citizens. Meanwhile, I don't know if it got to that point in the clip that I played before this, but they're saying that our legal systems are bogged down. The free legal systems, the legal aid societies that are out there to help Americans with criminal cases, civil cases, housing cases, you have to wait 10 weeks to be seen by those folks because they're bogged down helping people with their asylum claims. Meanwhile, people are being kicked out of these hospitals because they're Americans. They can't even take you in New York, parts of New York. You can't even go into a hospital to deliver a baby as an American because the wards are already filled up with migrant women who are rushing to get pregnant so that they can make American children. How is that fair?
I'm sorry, but even with her having Parkinson's disease and all of that stuff, I'm sorry. They have to be the ones on the waiting list, not us. Like, as far, people say, yo, it's heartless, but at the end of the day, if we went outside of America to another country and we're looking for service, you think we're getting pushed to the front of the line? Absolutely not. So I'm sorry. I understand, they're coming here with crazy situations or crazy diseases where they can wind up losing their life, but we have our own that's going through the same thing. And now I have to wait because of you? Nah, I'm sorry. I feel for her, but you got to wait at the end of the line. I'm sorry.
Neil, what's up? Talk to me, Neil.
Right. And there was another point about this is like the way that the legal system is screwed up with it. They give them a court date, and then that court date can take years.
Yeah.
So it's basically just it's an entrance way in there. And then if they have kids over here, well, then you have that naturalization thing you were talking about, but the system is broken. Like, honestly, I almost wish you could just go ahead and figure out a faster path to citizenship so that they can start participating in the system that they're going to be drawing from, because these people can get on Medicaid and food stamps, and those are programs that are already kind of overloaded. And that's, again, like you said, it's unfortunate. I'd like to be able to help everyone, but everybody needs to be able to figure that out within their communities as well as possible. And that's kind of the dark thing that happens when you end up in these situations where people are fighting over resources. And a lot of people believe that the reason the Democrats want this flood is that they think these people are all going to vote Democrat. Like, that's what they think they're going to do.
They're seriously not, because their religions and their cultures don't line up with democratic principles and policies. Like, they're not big on the LGBTQ stuff, right? A lot of these folks are devout Catholics. Like, South America is the last stronghold of the Catholic Church. They don't believe in abortion. They don't believe, their women have to be subservient. There's a lot of domestic violence in those cultures. What makes them think that these folks are going to say, oh, you know what? Let me go against everything I believe, everything my grandfather and my great-great-grandfather taught me to vote for these purple-haired Democrats. I don't know.
And here's another point too, is that because we all know citizenship is about 3 to 5 year process, right? So even if they do speed it up, apparently these people are technically living off the government. Am I correct?
They are. But that's not how long it takes, though, Wally. They're getting court dates 5, 6, 7 years out because the system is bogged down.
Got you.
So that's to even get into court. That's not even
no.
They didn't even get a hearing yet.
No, I
5,
get
6,
that.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, if they're already in the system and they become citizens, what's to say that they're going to actually go into the workforce? What's to say they're not just going to stay on that system? and
well,
reap
that's
the
true,
benefits.
because if you're trying to get your citizenship the right way, where you're supposed to wait outside the country, or you married somebody, you have to prove to the government you can support yourself. Well, what a lot of people don't realize is when you go through the pathway of asylum, those things don't count. Like you don't have, you can actually, there's a special type of welfare that they give asylum seekers to help them get on their feet. The government will actually give them assistance, give them housing assistance, because asylum is supposed to be that your life is in danger. So we're trying to save you. We bring you over here, we'll set you up, give you a solid foundation, and then hopefully you could go off on your own. So they actually fall under a different auspice of the law than anybody else who's coming in here who's trying to be a citizen. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I think that in the long run, they're not going to see like the long-term consequence of this until it's way too late. And, and lend that, and some of the things, we were talking about off the air, it's like, I'm sure the cartel sees this as an opportunity, like, to get further and further into this country.
Right. Well, I think we do have examples of what the long-term consequences is. What we see in Long Island with the Brentwood area, where there's an influx of MS-13. They're killing little girls. They're raping little girls, forcing little girls into relationships with older men. And all this stuff is happening under the water because the culture, number one, there's a distrust with the police. They don't feel like the police will help them. And they fear the gangs more, than they fear anybody else. So we see that. We have enclaves of that. We have places where we see the violence. We look at New York. I can play a clip for that, where the Roosevelt Avenue stretch of Queens, New York, has been turned into an open-air red light district brothel filled with nothing but Venezuelan and El Salvadorian prostitutes. We see that.
Right.
So it's happening right before us. We see our culture changing. We see our resources dwindling because we have so many of these people who should not be here. What's up, Wally?
Nah, you're good.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
Well, I had one more comment about
Go
the
for
whole culture shock, because like the woke alliance seems to be about like anything that they can find that opposes straight, white, Christian, male, cis person. And they have a bizarre hierarchy for it, but they run into problems because, you see this also with the Muslim immigrants, and it blew up in their face because when the trying to get all the LGBTQ, like really graphic sex books into the kids, elementary schools, in Dearborn, Michigan, as you can imagine, the local Muslim population was not on board. And you get to watch the like woke city council squirm in their chairs because what are they going to do? Are they going to be Islamophobic? No, they can't do that. But the Muslims were not into that stuff. Like you said, they're not into the LGBTQ stuff. And then oddly enough, then Hamtramck, for example, is a city with a very large Muslim population. They elected an entire Muslim city council. And the first thing they did was voted to cancel Pride and make it illegal to fly Pride parades. Like these people don't know what they're supporting coming into their country. It's going to come around and bite them in the butt.
Yeah. We see that happening in England right now. Go ahead, Wally.
I just want to put the disclaimer. I'm not saying, and I believe none of us are saying that we don't like migrants. We have a hate or distaste for migrants. My issue is I have a problem with Americans being put on the back burner, and they seem to be getting, first in line for resources and all of these things.
Yeah, I agree.
That's the issue. That's the issue that we have, not migrants. So I just want to put that disclaimer there.
Yeah, absolutely. We talk about this a lot, so sometimes you forget to preface what you're saying. My issue is the same thing that you said, but also I'm a person that believes in the rule of law. And if you're going to be here, you need to be here legally. You have to follow, because there are people who are experiencing genocide right now in this world, in Africa, in Asia. We have the Uyghurs who are being genocided by the Chinese. We have things happening in Ukraine. We have, what was that? Was that Nicaragua, where the terrorists are like killing everybody? Like we don't have that many Nicaraguan migrants. Those are the folks that should be coming. I want people who are here legitimately, not who are taking advantage of loopholes in our laws, saying that they are victims of something when they're not. I come from a family of immigrants. If somebody was to call me out, I got receipts of dozens of people in my family, in my immediate family, who are immigrants. I've been to the immigration office. I've paid $6,000 to the attorney to get close family members fixed. Went to the One Federal Plaza in New York City and went up to the meeting with them where they sat before the immigration officer and they asked them, do you smoke weed? Have you committed a crime? And all that stuff. Raise your right hand and give them the green card. I've seen that with my own eyes. So it would be asinine and insane for me to hate immigrants when I have family members who are immigrants, but they did it the right way.
Exactly.
Right. Now, somebody in the chat brought up something. I noticed we didn't talk about it, but I don't know if you guys looked at this or not, but have you guys looked at what's going on in Texas? Like the government took down their razor wire wall and then like they put it back up.
Yeah,
and
so
now
there's a war
Texas is
going
like,
on.
yeah, like there's like the edge of like, well, no, you're not going to do that. And I guess Texas politicians are telling the citizens that are armed to be ready. You know, like they think they're going to have to defend themselves. Like, what are you guys' thoughts about that?
Well, I don't have all the facts on it
Yeah.
as far as, you know, citizens arm yourself. I do know that the federal government basically said that, took Texas to the Supreme Court rather, and said that they don't have the authority to put the barbed wire out. The Supreme Court voted 5-4 that Texas needs to take the wire down because it's a federal issue. It's under the jurisdiction of the federal government. So Texas says, screw that. We don't care. We believe our Constitution gives us the ability to protect the sovereignty of our borders. So they put the barbed wire back up. So now Border Patrol, Texas troopers, they've taken it down, put it back up, taking it down, put it back up. And we're at an impasse. It's news to me that it's been said, hey, arm yourself because we may have to go to war with the federal government. That's insane. That's how much this is dividing and destroying our country. What do you think about it, Ron?
Yeah, that's, see, I didn't hear about it till you guys actually said it now, but yeah, that's dangerous grounds, man. But for the longest, I've been hearing, you know, gear up because we might have to, you know, go to war with the government. Like I've been hearing that a lot. And the way this country look like it's going, man, with this divide, man, who knows?
Well, they're talking civil war, but the problem is like, with the exception of the Texas thing, that's an obvious border. But like, they're the two people that are the two groups of people, the two tribes, so to speak, politically, that are fighting each other. They can be found in every state. It's not like the South, where it was like, well, we all believe that we should be allowed to do this slavery thing, and we all live, you know, below the Mason-Dixon line. You know, like any kind of civil war that we would have. I mean, I think there'll be riots. I think there'll be lots of fighting, you know, but it won't be a civil war in the context that people think of.
Well, I want to add some context to this. I forgot to tell you guys that Democrats in the House are now putting pressure, not all Democrats, mind you, because even the Democrats are split on this, are trying to put pressure on Biden to federalize the Texas National Guard so that Texas can't use the National Guard to assist in putting up the barbed wires and etc. And I mean, based on what you said, assist in defending the state against our fucking military. I mean, this is crazy. I don't know.
And what's really crazy about that is even the gun control nuts try to tell us that the militias are the National Guards of our individual states.
Right.
And that therefore we don't need our own guns, when the reality is we're going to be armed in case the government gets out of control. So now they're going to try to nationalize the guard of a single state, which effectively removes their right to have the organized, trained militias that they're trying to claim. Well, that's just the National Guard. It's not you. You can't have an AR-15. So that's interesting because now they're going to try to take away, the one thing even their own arguments would suggest, their own anti-gun arguments.
Right.
Anyway.
Because shouldn't the state be allowed to enforce its own rules, so to speak?
Yeah.
Yes, to a certain extent. Yes.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like they're being stripped of, their constitutional right in a sense.
I don't know, man. This is some serious stuff because we're talking about the border. it is recognized that the federal government is in charge of the border, but in the absence of the federal government doing its job, then at one point does the state get to do its job? You know, like how do we tell? I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, but I want to know, because like New York has that right to shelter law, but other people don't.
Right.
So other people can say, we're not going to shelter you, but can they say you have to leave our state? I don't know. I don't know if any state can tell somebody they have to leave the state. So I think like Texas can say, we're not going to take care of you and we're going to send you to other parts of the country if you come here. But can Texas say, we're going to deny you the ability to come in here? It's possible they can, because these people aren't citizens. But where does that line stop between Texas' ability to manage citizens in America traveling in and out of the state versus people who are illegal? This is some serious, serious stuff, and it's going to divide us. This is what's going to determine the 2024 election. Let me play a little bit more of what this lady had to say.
A condition, she said. Emergency room pediatrician Dr. Christy Rodriguez says they want to give patients the care they need, but they need funding, with the hospital facing a breaking point.
Is this an emergency here? I think it's about to be. I think this isn't sustainable how it is right now.
Meanwhile, Denver's public schools are also scrambling to keep up, with nearly 3,000 new migrant students.
So we've had around 100, which makes about 20% now of our student body. Now, over time,
Principal Brian Clark's school now receives 5 to 10 new students per week, what they used to get in an entire year. Now, some classes have hit the 35 student limit, so some students have had to be transferred to other schools.
My question is, which students? We'll talk about that, but let the video finish.
Come February 5th, the city says they'll start restricting stays on migrants in shelters and kicking many of them out onto the streets. Some migrants we spoke to said they don't know where they'll go. Lester?
Thanks for watching.
All right, go ahead. Like this. So the last thing that was said is that the schools are now at capacity. They're starting to transfer kids out of these schools, but they didn't say what kids are they transferring. Are they transferring out the migrant kids, or are they transferring out the local citizens? Talk to me. How do you guys feel about that?
It's definitely going to be an interesting question, like about how they're going to make this go down. I also think, well, we're already having problems where the migrants are fighting each other, over welfare and stuff like that. I'm tending to wonder what's going to happen, especially, because if we end up in another situation where somebody's encouraging riots, these people will be right there.
Right.
Anyway, go ahead.
Well, go ahead, man.
I'm all for, kicking them out. If the thing is if it's getting overflowed and everything like that, and kicking them out into the streets, I'm all for it. Like, I understand now you're going to be left with people, on the street, this, that, and the third, blah, blah, blah. But if it's going to impact my kids' learning, then I'm going to have to make that sacrifice and have that choice of, kick them out and see what plan can be taken to get this thing under control, because it's ridiculous, man. Like, it's frustrating, and I'm not even in Denver, but I don't know, man, because I don't want to say something that will be very offensive or whatever the case may be. So I'm really, trying to be PC as much as possible, because this is YouTube at the end of the day. So
I mean, they already demonetized me, so it's a wrap.
Yeah, no, I get it, but that still doesn't mean they can't kick you off the platform. Period.
I guess.
Really,
I mean, listen. Once again, nobody here is spewing hate. All right, this is not to you guys listening, because you guys heard it already. This is to the youth. This is to the purple hair people who've been employed at YouTube, making $172,000 a year, who went to Stanford, and they think they know better than us, even though they still live in their parents' basement. All right, they're bringing home $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 checks every 2 weeks, but they still living in their parents' basement. They're on Tinder and still can't find a date. All right, this is for those folks right there. All right, we are not people filled with hate. All right, what we are taxpayers. okay? Well, we are our parents, all right? And we see that our hard-earned money is being used for folks who do not deserve it, all right? We're smart enough to understand that there are people, even from those very same countries, who do deserve it, who do deserve our help because we have empathy, because we care about our fellow human being, right? If things were so bad in Venezuela, why are tons of Venezuelans in Chicago begging and taking plane tickets back to Venezuela? Because it got cold. If they're going to kill you, in Venezuela, wouldn't you stay in the winter in Chicago?
Yeah,
You wouldn't leave. You wouldn't go back to Venezuela. Go ahead, V.
No, a lot of people think that it's basically it's abusing the asylum system because they want to get, to America to have the better financial life. I'm sure
it's economics. You're right.
Yeah, exactly. And it's unfortunate that it's like that, and it is very conflicting because you want the system to work, but the only way it's going to work is if everybody's actually contributing to it. And I don't think that they're going to. Maybe if they work, they get taxed, but it's just not the same. I don't know what to do about it. It sucks. Other than I agree.
The funny thing is though that the Biden administration has given these folks, specifically from Venezuela, the ability to work. Like 100,000 of them were given the ability to work. And from what my understanding is, because they're tracking this in New York City, only 15% of those people who qualify actually have filled out the paperwork to get work authorization. What is that telling you, V?
Yeah. Well, it's telling me that, that was just the whole right to shelter thing is so crazy to me. And I say that as somebody who's been poor my whole life. And who's going to pay for it? How long is it going to, before it's insolvent? How long before you can't pay for it? So yeah, I get it. A lot of them are not going to want to work here. And the other thing is that, does that mean they're subject to minimum wage laws and all that jazz? Because that was one of the other, because the illegals come over here and they have an incentive to hire them because they can pay them less than, what their work is actually worth. And that's that's on the wealthy, which is one of the other things I say, shut up after this, is I did a video about this, but have you ever noticed how there's no efforts made in any way to prosecute the employers of illegal immigrants? There's a lot of energy given to trying to get illegal immigrants out of here or arresting them, but it would be so much easier just to sour the milk and arrest the wealthy people who knowingly hire these people for under minimum wage. But it's never done. Everybody acknowledges that it's illegal, but nobody ever does anything about it.
Yeah, because there's an incentive in the private sector to have that cheap labor. And
Right.
that's not right either. It's not, and it's going to hurt us anyway. Because all right, if you have these folks working for less than minimum wage, or we can even say slave wages, we'll just use that, right? They're going to end up in the system anyway. They're going to end up having to supplement, their income with welfare. They'll have to supplement their rent. It's gonna happen anyway, right? So we lose as a tax base regardless of what happens, right? But I don't know. I want to play this video. You guys got anything to add?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, if only 15% of the people are actually filling out the paperwork to actually be able to work, then why not put harsh penalties on the ones who are deciding not to? Because if you need asylum and you're looking for a better way of living and trying to prosper economically and all this thing, you would want to fill out paperwork and everything so that you can actually work.
Right.
You hear what I'm saying? So
why would you want to work?
Because our immigrants work their butts off, like the actual immigrants that come through legitimately. They're known to be high, especially the Asian culture. African immigrants, they're usually very affluent. They're very good. Like they start businesses and they do very well here.
But we're not getting too many of those. We're getting folks from the countryside. We're getting folks who are come to America, and now we put them in 4-star hotels. We give them 3 square meals a day. We give them free school supplies for their kids, free health care, free cell phones. We give them all of that stuff, So what is the incentive to work if you get a job, the Adams administration is going to say, well, you could afford an apartment now, so get the hell out of here. What's the incentive? There is no incentive. Right. That's why only 15% of them have signed up to actually work. The 17,000 jobs, mind you, where are these jobs for American citizens? New York was able to get employers to literally put up 17,000 jobs for these migrants. Listen to how that sounds.
Yeah.
How many Americans were offered those jobs? How did you materialize those jobs? How did you as a government say, we're going to guarantee these jobs? But you could not do that for all the unemployed Americans who existed prior to this moment. But because you have this migrant issue, you now somehow are able to get these employers to pool these jobs and say, we will hire up to 17,000 people you send us.
You know what's crazy? If you ever go on unemployment, they require you to look for work. And they require you to make sure you're giving the information for the jobs that you're looking for. And guess what happens if you're not doing that? You get kicked off the program. So I don't understand how us as Americans, we have steps in place where we'll get penalized if we're not showing any effort on money that we earned while we were working for that comfortable cushion if we happen to lose our jobs. But now you have migrants that come in, they'll be on their programs, denied to try and, work, all of these things, but yet you're still collecting these benefits.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. And even Medicaid and all that stuff, they want you have to be able to prove that you're doing something.
And if I get laid off from my job, I'm on unemployment and I get offered COBRA, which costs $1 bazillion.
Right.
Now
I want
to speak to this misconception, right? So Voir Per 49 said, Americans don't want to pick fruit or mow lawns. What fruits are being picked in the city of New York? Yeah. What lawns are being mowed in the city of New York? These are restaurant service jobs in New York, hotel and restaurant service jobs. 17,000 positions have been made available for migrants. They have not even been able to even dent filling those positions because only a fraction of the people who qualify to work are actually putting in the papers to be able to work. There's this misconception that like everything is like some plantation in Georgia, some farm in wherever they have farms. I don't like Oklahoma. No, these folks aren't going to Georgia. They're not going to Kansas City. They're going to big cities like New York, Chicago, Denver, etc. That's where they're going. There's no fruit to pick there. So the question is, why is it that New York City specifically can find 17,000 jobs that have been literally demarcated specifically for migrant people, but they can't do that for their own citizens who need jobs? And this is why there's a divide. This is why there's anger. And this is why there's a lot of misplaced hate.
And you know what's crazy? The migrants that this individual is talking about that's doing the mowing the lawn and all of this stuff, they're actually going through the right process to become a citizen.
They're business people.
Exactly. We're not talking about them. They're actually contributing to society by paying their taxes.
Right. And I want to add this. Let me add this, Wally.
Yeah.
We already went through that with the people who picked the fruit. Bush was going to solve that with the guest worker program. They didn't want to stay in America. Those were seasonal workers. Those people crossed the border hundreds of times. They would come to California. They'd come to, the places where the fruit is at, Florida. They'd pick the oranges, pick the mangoes, and then they go back to Mexico with their money. And they have nice houses in Mexico and putting their kids through school because they got that American money coming in. Then the next season they do it and then they come back. We knew that that's what they were doing, so we wanted to legalize it and give them the guest worker program. Bush couldn't push it through for politics. It is what it is. But those weren't ever the people that were in discussion. These folks aren't coming here to pick your fruit. They're not coming here to be your slave made in your house. These folks are coming here because they were told that if you come to America, they'll put you in a 4-star hotel, give you welfare, give you 3 square meals, give you free haircuts, free laundry service. All this stuff is what's happening in New York City. And you will be able to start a new life outside of the barrio. That's why they're here.
And and the other thing about the lawn thing is like there are plenty of lawn services owned by Americans, including
absolutely
ones who are non-immigrants. I'm paying one right now. I'm disabled. I'm in a wheelchair. You think I mow my own lawn? No, there's a local lawn service. I pay them every time they do it. So it's a misnomer. I mean, a lot of the growers were illegal workers. That's true. Not the growers, the pickers. That is one area where they do let the illegal immigrants come, and then they pay them in mass. Those are the employers I was talking about that you would think the FBI would go, look, you're employing all these illegals, that's against the law, but they never do.
Go ahead, well, Pete, what you got?
Nah, go ahead. I was gonna say you. I know you got the video queued up, so.
All right, yeah, let's play.
You can rock with it.
Go. All righty, let's do it.
Decades, Pix 11 has exposed the seedy sites along Roosevelt Avenue. Sex workers up and down the Queens business district. Families, children, and shops forced to exist among the brothels and blatant solicitation. Until now. Thursday night, dozens of NYPD cops breaking down doors to a half-dozen prostitution parlors.
And this is what the community wants, and here we are to get this done.
What's been known as the Roosevelt Avenue Red Light District exposed and the sex trafficking victims liberated.
We don't want to lock up the women that work here. We want to get them help.
Mayor Eric Adams was on hand to watch the operation in full tilt. He even posted the scarlet letter on one sex shop he toured, the court ordering it closed.
This is it's just inhumane with just individual beds with curtains up to divide the activities that are taking place.
Sometimes they even pulling the people, dragging the people inside, so it's awful.
Councilmember Francisco Moya has been advocating for his constituents, demanding action.
Today is a really great day for the people and the businesses here in Corona, Queens.
Rajbir Kaur owns the salon next door. She complains the women stand in front, driving away business.
Like our customers, even they say like, oh my God, it's dirty here.
While some residents worry prostitution will be back, she's hopeful it's gone for good.
We are happy now. Now we are happy.
Yeah, that's hilarious. T. Williams said, strategic, you were wrong. Migrants are picking some man's fruit in New York.
Too soon, T. Williams.
Shout out to T. Williams.
So, I said I wasn't gonna share this story, but I'm gonna share it anyway. So I had some business in the region. There's a center that I had to go to, and I'm driving down this very same corridor, and some drunk South American guy, I'm not picking on him because this is what he was, he just ran up to my car and kicked it. Just kicked my car, boom, and cursed at me. All right. And I'm like, what the hell? I got out the car. He ran away. I'm a big guy. He ran away when he saw me. And, I looked at the car, and luckily he kicked a part of the door that had a lot of give. So it didn't damage the door at all. And mind you, this was a very expensive car. So it's like, what the F? You know what I'm saying? And as I'm driving down, this is before this bust happened. I witnessed this with my own eyes. Tons of beautiful Latina young women. They look like they're between 18 and 25. They look very young, out there selling themselves. Tons of South American men going upstairs with them. It's like, it was so much of it. It's literally, they were like, I would say that the entire blocks was just filled with different brothels. It was unlike anything you think you'd ever see in America. It was like something that you would see in Bangkok or something like that.
You see that in Vegas.
I mean, I went to Vegas and I didn't see that. Vegas has, those legal spots. Those ranches and stuff.
Yeah.
Vegas has shops and stores and gambling down the strip. They don't got a billion women in mini skirts from El Salvador and Venezuela.
They got the people with the flyers.
And China. Yeah, like this is crazy.
Yeah,
well, I wasn't that deep in Vegas, so we see what you did in Vegas.
nah.
But I mean, he got the whole. This is how you do it. They give you the flyer.
No.
You
What
know?
happened was when I was in Vegas,
What had happened
the
was
people giving out flyers. I took one, and like 30 heads came and was just throwing me flyers. Like I'm like, yo. When I came back, my boy was like, yo, I meant to tell you, if you see them people at the flyers in Vegas, do not take one. I'm like, too late. You didn't give me the heads up. But
it's called plead the fifth, my brother. It's plead the fifth. Okay, self-incrimination.
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Right. What do you think about this, V?
Another thing that occurs to me is this is going to be a real problem for the spreading of disease. And there's not going to be enough treatment for anybody. I'll bet you those girls are like forced to work, even if they have stuff like chlamydia, syphilis, any number of bad things are going to get passed around. And I guarantee you the majority of them are getting abused, and they're setting up curtains. Like, curtains are just, like they don't even put them in bedrooms.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just, it's really horrible. But what I think is that unfortunately, like we talked about before, the cultural differences in that, that they are more accepting of that kind of sex work in these countries, and they're going to want to bring that culture with them. It's like, well, if we're going to continue to allow this migrant flood to continue. I mean, like, we're not going to make it stop. What are the rest of the cities going to look like? How long before this starts spreading everywhere?
Right. Right. And we've had stabbings in the shelters over people skipping lines, like because the resources are so scant. Now there's infighting. So that we saw fighting between, native people, citizens, poor citizens fighting with the immigrants for resources. We saw people get arrested over that. Then we had, I think, 2 or 3 slayings in the last week and a half in New York City over immigrants fighting over resources in these shelters. And I think it resulted in 2 deaths, 2 homicides. These, things feel like they're reaching a boiler point. It feels like we're getting to a point where it's about to explode. And, it may not sound like it to some people inside of the comment section, although I do appreciate, your comments, whether you're dissenting or you're agreeing. This is a free speech zone. You will not be punished for it. That's not what we do here. We're here to voice our opinions, as long as we do it respectfully. I'll never disrespect you. You don't disrespect us. You can say whatever you want. That's the beauty of our show. So don't feel like, oh my God, if I criticize the host, he's gonna, bounce me out of here. That's not what we do. But I have great empathy for these folks. So I ask myself, is this better than being in your home country? You came, you always hear the stories. They went over 20 mountains, through 15 jungles. They had to take trains. They had to fight off coyotes and fight off, gangsters and rapists. And then you get here and now you find yourself 19, 20 years old selling your body on a New York street. Is that better than where you came from? I don't know, man. I don't think it is.
Well, I come back to the thing I just said before. Like, again, when does it stop? Is there an end point? Because it's only getting there. Like, I know Eric Adams is now like, we got to cut this crap out. Like, he gets that something needs to give. I mean, you know more about that than me. Right. But then, like, the Chicago nutcase is just like trying to pretend that he still supports it and is finding ways to stop the buses and arresting bus drivers. But they're not. Nothing is slowing down. Like, so what is the end game?
They don't have one. That's why things is in this crisis that it is now. Like, it's like, okay, we're going to let them in. And it's like, okay, now what? I don't see an end game or anything. And it seemed like they're not doing anything or putting anything in place to do so. Because each of us here probably gave out like 3 or 4 resolutions each.
Right.
So, I honestly think they don't have a plan. It's either you want this to continue on, or you just want to keep going till the resources is dry. Like, I really don't know.
There's this guy that like stands outside of my job with his 2 little kids, like all day long, man. This migrant guy. One is in a stroller, the other one is standing next to him. It's very, very sad. And, listen, I have my own family to feed. I'm not going to make it a habit that every day I see you, I'm giving you some of my money. That's just ridiculous. Nobody does that, right? So I guess so many people pass him, he doesn't remember that although I don't give you every money every day, I've already given you quite a few dollars to help you out because, you know, I just feel sorry for you, right? If you don't give this man money, and I stop because I realize that when you don't give him money, he starts cursing you out in Spanish. So he was like, oh, you know, can you spare some? And I was like, not today. Then he said something, and I didn't understand what he said. So then I was like, you know what? I gotta run this back again. So then I went the next day, same thing. Oh, not today, man. He said it again, and I remember what he said, and then I translated it, and he cursed me out. You know, these are the type of folks we have out here. This is crazy, man. This is bananas.
Pretty much.
Oh my gosh. I got one more video for you guys. You guys anything else?
No.
Nah. Wait.
All right. So let me bring this video in and then we'll start wrapping it up. So this is like a press conference or whatever with the mayor of New York, Mayor Adams, and they're gonna talk about what's happening in Queens. Like we just saw the bust. This is them talking about it.
Is this a situation that needs to be addressed? Is it impacting this neighborhood? There are several communities involved in a very negative way, and businesses.
Yes, and I would love to take a trip with you over there and show. I went out. This was brought to my attention by local leaders a few months ago, and I went out there, I think around about 1:30 a.m., and it was clear that there were illegal activity taking place there. And this is where idealism collides with realism. While we are fighting to address the issues of sex workers, sex trafficking, there are elected officials who are fighting against us, trying to legalize sex work. They believe it is a victimless crime. And I've had elected officials tell me that the women are just trying to work while you trying to harm them. There are real issues around illegal sex work, not only from STDs to sex trafficking, to young girls getting involved with it, to violence. You know, so people who don't understand how serious this is, they are impeding our progress.
We had heard that some of the Venezuelan women that are coming in might have been part of this now, this increasing population.
Our intel is telling us there's a level of accuracy to that. And this is, you know, Mary, this is what happens when you create an atmosphere that people can't provide for themselves. You can't work illegally. You can't carry out your job. When I talk about the spiraling impact of how this is going to impact our city, this is what I'm talking about. It is going to impact the foundation of the quality of life of our city.
Right.
For years,
and before,
even decades.
Before we even get started, it should be noted, and it should be said that Mayor Adams did, as somebody said inside of the chat, invite this on himself. He did do that. All right. And I think that what he's doing now is the best he can based off the laws in New York State and New York City to manage it. But we can't forget that he invited it. And if he had handled that first bust differently, he probably would not be in the situation he's in right now. When that first bus came to New York, if he'd have said, we don't want this, we support Texas, we're going to go lobby the president to give Texas assistance, if he made himself an ally of Governor Abbott, maybe New York will be the outlier of one of the major liberal cities that's not being affected the way that we're being affected right now. He said, oh, you guys are racist, you guys are this, that, and the third, send your people here. And last point, because I think, you know, when we talk about these issues and we don't toe the liberal line, people who just pop into the show for the first time assume that we're conservatives, assume that we're coming, you know, that we're MAGA people. That's not the case. All right.
Definitely
None of
not.
us are conservatives. All right. I voted for 2 Republicans in my entire life. And that was because they were against police reform and well, not police reform, but bail reform. And they wanted to bring more safety to my municipality. That's it. Everybody else I've ever voted for has been Democrat. But they assume because you're not towing that Democratic line of, let everybody in, oh my God, whatever, that you're a Republican. I am not a registered Republican.
I think,
but I believe in common sense. Go ahead.
No. Like if they can see the artwork that I use for my show, it's the character from V for Vendetta with a beheaded elephant and a beheaded donkey. Both of these political parties suck. Like and they don't really care about us. The funny thing is the woke left is the loudest part of the Democratic Party, but Nancy Pelosi doesn't pay any attention to them. And that's why they had to stop Bernie as fast as they could, because he was a real threat to them. If they actually believed in any of that stuff, then they wouldn't have a problem with him being their nominee.
Right.
But I just tell people that it's definitely okay, funny story, and then I'll quit. But I got called today because they were doing a survey about political affiliations. And so, they're giving me all these questions. It's like, do you feel that the Democrats or the Republicans have the better solution for the immigration issue? Do you feel that Democrats or Republicans have the different, the best answer for the, for education? And as I went through it, I was literally answering Republican, Democrat, Republican. It was back and forth, because there are so many issues that we've been kind of divided on. And I think I've mentioned this the first time I came on your show, but it's like our politics have been packaged and you're expected to follow your package. I'm also very pro-gun. I'm literally sitting there's a carbine under my bed right now, and a pistol. It's like I'm pro-gun rights, but we've been told that you can't be pro-gun rights and say be pro-healthcare. Those things have nothing in common.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
They don't.
But we're supposed to but you got to line up on one or the other. And there's all these assumptions about it. If I would come in here and give you my First Amendment speech, everybody would immediately assume I'm conservative,
Right. Well, before you jump in, Wally, it's people like this, like John James, that divide the country the most, because so we're having a discussion, right? And in this discussion, we're talking about how Americans can be better served by these tax dollars and how these services are actually hurting Americans, right? And just because I don't toe this person's political ideology, rather than explain why they feel that I'm wrong or any of you guys are wrong, I don't know if they're talking just to me or to everybody on the panel.
Yeah.
They just choose to insult. So I just assume that you're clueless. Well, he's talking to me because of the comment I made that I'm not conservative. So what is your solution, John? If you want, I don't know if V has to go, but I got a couple of minutes. We can send you a link and you can come on the show and you can tell us what your solution is.
Oh, I'd love to hear that.
Well, listen.
Yeah,
what is your solution? What is your solution to this border crisis? What is your solution to the fact that we can't afford to take care of these folks the way we're doing right now? Tell us what the solution is. But these guys never have answers. It's like the abolition folks. They say, oh, we shouldn't have any prisons and we shouldn't have the police. So what about these sociopaths that will turn into serial killers? Well, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. They don't have a solution.
Yep.
They have a dream of a utopia, but no solution. What's up?
The ACLU has been doing a long list of woke causes. It's all they do now. They're the legal arm of MSNBC or something. And they recently did a rant about the dangers of having cops in schools. And I'm just sitting there thinking to myself, so you guys don't like school shootings. So let's just make sure we lengthen the response time to any school shooting by not allowing any cops to be there. Let's make sure, because there's a massive epidemic of teachers being hurt by students. Police liaison officers are the first on the scene to try to deal with that problem. And I ask them what the solution is. They have just treat them like humans. And I'm like, you clearly have never gone to school in the ghetto. They don't know what they're talking about. I was you're speaking from the position of privilege of not having gone to a high school like mine with metal detectors on the doors, rapes during school hours, shootings in the parking lot. That was all my childhood. They either don't know what they're doing or talking about, or they're one of the people dealing drugs in those schools or in support of it.
Right. Yeah. So VAR per 49 says, here's a solution, pass a law that is up in Congress that Trump said no to. First of all, Trump is not the president of the United States. So we don't care what he has to say at this point. But second of all, the law that's currently, if you guys don't know, the law that's currently in Congress, not only does it have very minimal things that are going to, bring this crisis manageable, but it also sends hundreds of millions of dollars to the Ukraine and hundreds of millions of dollars to Israel. Now, I'm staying out of that Israel, Hamas, Palestinian topic because it's like, it's so complicated. And I feel like I just don't have enough information to speak on it. I spoke about it before and things change. So it's whatever. The bottom line is, all right, so if you are liberal, and I don't know if any of these folks are liberal, right? What in that bill is actually going to reimburse New York for the billions that New York has spent to deal with a federal problem? What in that bill is going to reimburse Chicago, Denver? Now let's get to the real nitty gritty. The people who have been dealing with this for years. What in that bill is going to buttress and support Texas and Arizona, these border states that are being influxed with these individuals? It doesn't have that stuff in there. What in that bill is going to increase the amount of federal judges, immigration judges, to speed this along? What in that bill is going, is going to actually stop people from crossing the border illegally? So, people say, well, pass the bill, but what else is in the bill? Because it's not a standalone bill. It's a bill that's primarily about funding people overseas in their wars that has a small aspect of it that deals with our border. So when you talk about that bill, you have to also talk about the other ramifications that comes with that bill. But what do you have to say about that, Wally?
Look, in my honest opinion, man, the only way to actually solve this crisis, man, you gotta put your foot down and do things what people are gonna see might be egregious, so to speak, which is, kick people out. Start kicking people out, like putting strenuous rules, because if you don't have a plan in place and the whole time that a plan is not in place, you're still bringing more people in, you're still taking up more resources, you're still filling in more hotels, more this, more that. You just keep compounding and compounding and compounding to the point it's like there's no point of return. I believe the only way you actually can is you put your foot down and you're like, yo, this is what we're doing. Kick these people out the same way Denver is like, yo, we're going to start putting people out on the street or whatever. Or like you said earlier, Strategic, yo, you don't want to do this? Fine. You'll get up out of here. We'll give you a ticket to wherever it is you need to go, but you're not staying here.
Right.
If you don't put your foot down, because let's be realistic, I get it. You found I'll call it a loophole in the system as far as like seeking refuge in America. You got some people who are gonna be, 100% like, yo, I really want to, make things better for me, my family, or whatever, the whole nine. But you're also going to have the other ones who are going to abuse the system. The ones who aren't looking to abuse the system, they're going to do the right thing. No matter how firm you put your foot down, they're doing the right thing. So they're not going to care. Right. But those who are abusing the system, that's the ones that you're going to weed out. And how do you weed them out? It's just like, if you ever play sports and you, like, the beginning of the season, you start a team and you go practice. Them first 2 weeks of practice is super hard, where they break you. They want to see how serious you are about doing X, Y, Z. And if you get through it, I know you're serious. But those who aren't, they're going to be like, man, I'm done with this. I'm not doing all that. So if you put your foot down, you're going to weed out those who are trying to milk the system. Like, that's the way I see to solve it. But are we willing to do that?
Question to you, Strategic, as a law enforcement officer, what would that look like? Because we're bringing in so many of them.
Yeah,
man, I don't
like,
know.
I mean, like, have you ever talked to anybody in ICE or whatever it is that has to deal with this? Like, they'd end up being overwhelmed, wouldn't they?
To like mass deport people?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, that sounds like a bloody affair.
I mean, yeah, I mean,
Especially if they fight.
They're gonna
Like-
go. I mean, well, you know, if they fight, they're gonna lose, but people are just gonna go underground. It's gonna end up being, you know, investigations. People, you know, basically it'll just be like what ICE has done all along. Like John James says, "Welcome to the police state." It's not that serious. It'll be what the duties that ICE has done for decades. They'll go do spot checks at restaurants, follow up leads, people rat people out, you know, they might have a bad tenant that's not, you know, that's giving them a hard time and they're illegal. You get that type of secret call, yo, there's illegal leaving at 45525 Street, you know what I'm saying? And that's what they do. So that's what it would be. It would take decades for them to round these folks up. I don't know if that's the solution.
I don't know, man.
I don't know if it's a solution. I don't know how I feel about, you know, little Timmy, who's 5 years old, being ripped away from his mother or being forced to go back to Ecuador because we screwed up. I think that before we even have a conversation on how to move forward, we got to at least stop the bleed at the border. You know, we have to stop the bleed. Now, before I go any further, the link to join us is in the chat.
Yeah.
You know, you could come on and you can have a debate with us. And we're respectful. We're not going to curse you out. We're also not going to talk over you. Of course, you have to have a conversation. You can't think that you're just going to go on a 20-minute diatribe and not get challenged or at all. But if you want to come on and have a respectful conversation, this is the time, because we're not going to stay on forever. You know, we're old people. Our limit is like 2 hours. So if you're going to come on now. But it's easy to be a keyboard jockey. Come and state your point. And I will add this. You don't have to show your face. You don't have, we show our faces. Some of us do. You don't have to show your face. It'll give you the option if you want to be audio only, and you could just have, you know, an avatar up and just speak. But this is the time, because you're debating with people in most instances who believe in universal health care. You know, I don't want to speak for other people, but, you know, free college, public at least, you know, you're dealing with people who believe in police reform to a certain extent. You're not dealing with right-wing people, not that that's a bad thing, or conservatives. If it makes you feel safe to try and typecast us and put us in that bubble, that's your own business, but that's not the reality. Come on the show, tell us how we're wrong. Explain to us how we're wrong, that we should be concerned that services are being cut in our municipalities. Citizens have to wait longer to go to hospitals, to go to specialists, to get legal services, legal help. Tell us how we're wrong when our schools are getting shut down so they can be used as shelters for migrant people. Fields and football fields are being shut down so they can build these tent cities that are inhumane, that have cots separated by 2 inches from the next person who's a stranger. Hundreds of them lined up back to back. Tell us that we're wrong, that we feel that that's not humane and that's not fair to them or for us. Go ahead, Wally.
I honestly feel like they don't want to solve this issue. Because if they really wanted to solve this issue, and it's a factor of, oh, we don't want to separate this, that, and the third, and asylum, yada, yada, then how did they get the Haitians that showed up in Texas out of the country so quick?
Boom.
They got them out within a week.
Right.
That's deep. Why the Haitians can stay.
Yep. Yep. So is this really a problem that they really want to solve? That's the question that I ask.
So what you saying, Wally, is that it's selective?
Yes. Yes.
Imagine that.
That's what it looks like to me on the surface. I could be wrong, but that's what it looks like.
This gets deep, man. This gets deep.
Yeah.
But listen,
another one of those strange bedfellows of the left is that you'll notice that the same woke people, they push for the sex worker rights a lot. But at the same time, if you and I complimented a girl, then we're objectifying her.
Right.
Yes.
Oh my God.
It's
Spot
totally
on,
fine to
brother.
objectify someone as
Spot
long as you're
on.
paying for it.
You could buy as much punani as you want, but if you tell a woman she looks pretty today, you're a pig. Unbelievable. Oh my
That's
God.
funny. That is funny. Yes,
Hilarious.
yes.
All right, it doesn't look like anybody's coming on the show. It's okay. It's all right. Somebody in a link said, "Oh, somebody's coming on. Erica P is coming on. Let's get you in here."
Hey guys.
What's going
What's
on?
up?
Nothing much. Just listening to y'all.
Do you
And
mind
for
if we
those who don't
objectify
know-
you or not?
It don't even matter right now. It don't even matter.
And for
All
those
right.
who don't know, Erica P, that's my running mate on Matter of Opinion. So
Okay.
yeah. Caller, you're on the air. What do you have for us?
So my biggest thing is, and y'all know I'm a Jersey girl, but I never even realized this been happening since 2022. Like, this is not a new problem. I just feel like it's getting bigger and bigger, and there's no real way to stop the bleed. Because think about it. You're giving people resources, right? They need the resources if they're coming over. So you're giving them housing a year, 2 years, 5 years, however long, this process is going to work, because right now there's no end game, right? I did look up some stuff because I had to make sure I had all my ducks in a row. So I looked at the healthcare issue, right? It was only supposed to be 12 months. It was what it was supposed to be. At the moment, it's continuous, because think about it. If they get sick, where are they going? They're going to the hospitals. You're automatically getting charity care. You have no real employment. That's automatically what you're going to get. So if they're going to give you the health care or not, the hospital's still on the hook for it. 9 times out of 10, if you're going to the hospital, it's because it's a major issue. If it's a small problem, they're going to get you in through fast track you right on out. But it's not the ones that are having those little issues that are going to think it's a major issue for them to go to the hospital. 2, I'm a parent. So the biggest thing for me is class size for my kids. So if you're telling me your class size is over 35 at this point, it's only going to get worse. You have a teacher shortage in the New York City area, because you have to think about it. People who want to be teachers will be teachers. But them new people coming out of school, that's not the profession they're picking. They're picking things that is going to make them some money. So it's like, now you got the divide back. So then it's, okay, well, how do you reduce class size? You either going to have to put people back to remote, which didn't already work for New York for most of their schools. You didn't have the internet for most people. And you telling me I got a immigrant family, you guarantee they probably don't have all of the other necessities if they're living in hotels or shelters or things like that. And even if you give it to them, what's the likelihood that it's not going to get stolen? What's the likelihood that, they're going to be able to plug it up at night? What's the likelihood that they're going to be able to tap into the internet if you're not giving them a wireless card at this point either? So it's like, it's always going to be an issue. So you're giving people resources. You're giving the things that people think are necessities, and you already know they're getting the bare minimum. You're not getting all of the bells and whistles. Yes, they may be staying in some of these hotels, because what was the alternative? The hotels are not selling the rooms like they used to. So the alternative was, okay, well, you got empty rooms sitting here. We're going to take them from you. We'll pay the hotel, which is still making them some kind of money, because they're going to get some kickback. You're not just giving up your rooms just because. So it's like, at what point do you guys look at it and go, okay, we need to reassess and we need to come up with a plan? Because you're right. Listening back, right? You're telling me you have the charity care lawyers, or, the ones that are going to help these people with these cases, they're already bogged down, right? So that means a case that should have taken maybe a year is now going to take 4 to 5 years. Well, guess what? A lot of these times when you look at those tracks, you need about 3 to 5 years once you get your paper straight to be legal anyway. So it'll be the next election. Now it's going to be, okay, which group helped me get to stay here? You're going to try to vote for them. The other side is, okay, well, guess what? The group of people that's trying to kick me out, we already know I'm not trying to vote for you. So it's always going to be a catch-22. You want the people because you want the votes. But on the flip side, it's like, okay, you also need to be able to make sure that they have their citizenship at that point to even get the vote, because the end game is the vote. But if you're not doing the things to get them legal, guess what? You brought them here for no reason.
That's a good point.
Yeah. I want to bring V Radio in on this, but before we do that, real quick, people are asking if we have a regular discussion. No, we don't. We collaborate often with each other. Most of the time we're doing our solo thing. So the best thing to do is just to subscribe to all of our channels, and you'll get a little piece of everything. And listen, we're all friends. We're all cool. We're a YouTube. I like to call us a YouTube collective. So that if any time there's a topic you guys want us to discuss together, just let us know, and we'll come in. We'll do a show. You know,
we'll collab.
So it's never a big deal. Like literally, if you guys like, hey, can you guys do a collab on this? It's done. It's not a big deal, right?
Exactly.
So just keep that in mind. Also, please hit that like button. A lot of people hit the like button on the show, and I really appreciate that. Make sure that you're hitting the like button on all of our channels, whether you're watching from Walls P channel, V Radio, doesn't matter. Hit the like button. Make sure that that algorithm understands that you appreciate this type of content, whether you agree with us or not. The like button doesn't mean you agree with what we're saying. The like button means that you appreciate the fact that we have the balls to have this conversation, and the fact that we could do it in a civil manner. Whereas if you disagree with us in the chat, we're not disrespecting you. We're not timing you out. We're not blocking you. Don't you hate that when those YouTubers do that? They want that echo chamber. We don't have that echo chamber here. We take dissenting opinions. We relish in it. We appreciate it, and we respect it. V Radio, what's going on, man?
Well, mostly to piggyback off of what you were talking about as far as how we treat people, it's also about like trying to want to have respectful exchanges of information. Like I've been on some of those Twitch panels and they drive me absolutely crazy. Everybody there screaming over each other, yelling, insulting each other with irrelevant information, and it makes people stupid. I mean, to be blunt, it's not good for you. There's no way anybody who listened to that got smarter, you know. I think as far as to what your guest said, you know, that was all stuff I had kind of like, if you mentioned, like I had mentioned earlier, as far as to like, well, but that's actually, it's an interesting incident. Can you imagine getting a call that they closed your school down,
right?
Because they're going to house migrants there?
Right.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Like what? You know, it was like that happened, you know, and I guess it did. How long did they keep them in that school?
I think it was just there like maybe 2 or 3 days. They were there like I think for 1 day, and then they needed a day or two to actually clean and prepare it back up for the kids to return to school. But I believe that the principal told them to do remote for the rest of the week. So regardless of how long the migrants are actually in the school, the kids still were out of school for a week. And we're dealing with high schoolers here. There's a lot of parents who don't trust their kids being home alone, unsupervised. So they need that school that I know my son and my daughter's in a structured place. So now they either have to stay home or they're at work when in the back of their mind, like, what is my teenager doing? Because we were teens. What happened when the parents weren't home? We was going to each other's house and I don't see nothing wrong. Where the letter, come on, man. You know, you don't know what's happening at your house. You know, and come on, go ahead, V.
It's worked for me in the past. I mean, my kids are homeschooled now, but like, I think I have success with it only because I'm a parent who's home all the time.
Right.
You know, like, and I got to get on. I'm like, so how's your schoolwork doing? You know, but I have to be proactive in a way that I think a lot of parents are not, or just don't have the time to be, you know, but I also get daily reports on what they're doing with their work. So they can't fib to me either. But a lot of kids went to homeschooling and it just didn't work for them. You know, some of them need that situation, you know, where they need to be able to, you know, like have an adult who's looking over their shoulder, like, what you up to? You know, so it's unfortunate, but I can't even fathom the notion that they would shut down a public school or something like that. That's just crazy to me.
See, I think the elephant in the room is, as a parent, if you had to deal with this, I honestly think some people would not have a hatred, but a dislike for migrants in general.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying? Like, it's not, I'm not mad at you, but I'm mad at what the system did for you, which basically turned around and is affecting what I got going on and
Right.
also affecting my child's education. So now I'm mad at the system. I'm mad at the migrants. Like, I'm mad at everything all around. So I think that's the elephant in the room that, you know, because like I said before, if I was a parent that went, oh, I would be pissed.
Yeah.
Like, I would
Right.
be pissed straight up, man. So you talking going to the school and voicing my opinion, like, yeah, I think it could get very ugly, and it's probably already did get ugly, you know.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure strategic, you know, firsthand, because you're pretty much front and center on how ugly, you know, it is. It is getting all of that. So yeah, man, I'd be pissed.
Right. All right. So I don't want to beat this dead horse into oblivion. So we're gonna get out of here. But
Let me just ask this real quick. Can I just ask one question to Erica P real quick?
Well, yeah, you can do it. I was gonna ask Erica P if she had any last statements, but go ahead, ask her the question.
As a parent, Erica P, if you found out your kids couldn't go to school because of this situation, what would your reaction be?
Okay, so for me, it's a little twofold because you have to think about it. When the schools were shut down, I was that parent who homeschooled. But I also put my kid back in school when it was time for them to go back to school. I didn't put them back in right away. So I'm like, it's a little twofold for me because one, yes, if the school gave you all of the resources for them to effectively learn from home, I might have took the option again. I may have. But if you're telling me this is for a week and you don't have the right platform for them to do whatever studies they were doing, no, we got a problem. I'm also one of those parents that I check over everything. So if you're telling me that they have to log on from 8 to 3 on whatever the school platform is, even if my kid was a teenager, you're going to be upset because guess what? I reported your screen. So anytime I feel like I need to go check and make sure you logged in and doing your work, I want to be able to see you logged in doing your work. So I'm like, it's hard because what happens when you tell me, hey, my kid is out for a week, you didn't give me that much notice, and what if my job doesn't allow me to be home for that week? That's a whole nother can of worms. Maybe I am that parent who doesn't trust my kid long enough to be in a house 8 to 10, 12 hours, depending on whatever the work schedule is going on at the time. What if your kid doesn't learn effectively that way? Because you have a big group of kids who don't sit still, who can't concentrate, and you expect them to learn this stuff. You had a whole group of kids who fell behind when the schools went remote. You don't think a week is not going to have them falling behind, so you didn't give them a week. It's like, okay, so when they go back to school in a week, are you teaching the same stuff that you just sent home? Because if you're not, that's going to be another problem. That's a whole group of topics that these kids may or may not know.
All right. We got to get out of here. Thanks a lot, Erica, for that feedback. We really appreciate the support you give to the channel. Big shout out to you and Walls P for your amazing channel. I'm a big fan of it. See you later, Erica.
Bye, guys.
All right, peace.
See ya.
All right, so I'm gonna let you guys do your outros.
Sorry.
And then I'll let you guys go after each one of you say, and then I'll speak to the people for real quick and then call it a day. All right. Really appreciate you guys at the last moment. You guys don't know, I hit these guys up at the last moment. They were there for me. I'm always there for you guys too. I just wanted to do it big on my first live, my real live back after being banned and then demonetized. My channel was blowing up. I was making some crazy money off of the videos I was dropping on the YouTube shorts and YouTube took all of that away. Not 1 cent came my way. They're like, yo, we don't like your channel. You demonetized. Go fuck yourself. All right, cool. It is what it is. You know what I mean? So big shout out to you guys. So let's start with Walls P. Go for it, man. Outro. What do you got to say?
Look, man, I enjoyed the conversation. Appreciate, you guys having me on the platform. Appreciate you, V Radio. I like your work too, man. When you deep dive into topics, you deep dive. Like your research, man, the research skills is magnifique. So I just want to point that out.
Well, thanks, man.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Again, subscribe to Matter of Opinion. You just saw my co-host Erica P there. Like I said, we talk and debate about multiple topics, whether it's race, whether it's politics, whether it's the school system, everything. Whatever it is, you name it. And again, join the sports channel. Don't call it locker room talk, where we talk about sports and everything. And yeah, you'll definitely like those videos because they're very entertaining. With that said, man, Strategic Eyes, man, appreciate you having me on the platform. We definitely got to do this again. And with that being said, you guys could have been anywhere on a Saturday night, but you was here rocking with us. So appreciate you guys.
All right, appreciate you, man. Take it easy, my brother.
Yes, sir.
I want to thank you for the compliment, and you should come on my show sometime.
Oh, definitely, man. You know the thing with you, V. Number one, you always extend the hand, and I appreciate that. You always do it when I'm working, bro.
Well, I meant
Sunday,
that also for Wall
Monday,
Street too, but yeah, because like
Sunday,
I didn't know you was
Monday
off until just now.
Oh
but
yeah,
yeah,
no. As
But
you
I
guys
know-
are done, I'm
I
kicking
know
you off.
about
You're gonna
you,
get
though.
kicked off too. You're gonna get kicked off too.
Oh, fine, be that way. I'm about to get censored. Me and Walls P, we're gonna be in the back room going, man, he's so cold. All right, so let me give my outro then. Good evening. If you tuned in tonight to V Radio and Strategic Eyes, you got to check out my channel over at hy.page/V Radio. There you can find me on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute, Odyssey. I also do most of my stuff in Podcast Forum. And you can also find me on Spotify. I do a lot of investigative journalism, like he said, lots of very heavily researched deep dives. My objective when I do the heavily researched stuff is to find, sources for everything, sources that can't just be simply waved away. Well, that's Fox News or that's MSNBC. And I just try to get to the irrefutable truth of things. And the reason why I'm rarely ever wrong about anything is I don't open my mouth about stuff I don't know anything about. And he's right. When I do something like that, I'm usually getting up at 9 a.m. and not uploading until 9 p.m. But I think my biggest claim to fame was that I got the first actual shooter in the Kyle Rittenhouse incident identified and arrested. His name was Joshua Zeminski. He was living under a alias, and I helped uncover that, and I got credited for doing that. I've done a lot of documentaries. I did one about Kyle. I did one about Michael Forrest Reinhold murdering Jay Danielson. So lots of different reports on things like that. And again, I can't promise you'll always agree with me, and I don't actually want you to. I don't want Vosh bots. I don't want people that are just like lapping up everything I say. In fact, the majority of my audience probably doesn't agree with me. I'd say last time I polled them, it was like 60-40. So I do have independent leftists and independent conservatives. Usually people who are not affiliated with the major parties who listen to my show. And I'd like you to consider listening to me as well. Thanks again for letting me on, Strategic.
No doubt, buddy. Before I let you go, I had no idea that you identified Joshua Zeminski. That is huge, man.
Yeah.
That is huge, bro. Great work. Keep the work up, man. And you always have a friend in me, and we got to do more of these collaborations.
I agree.
Peace out, my brother.
Yep. Bye.
All right, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation. I really appreciated sitting in this chair, coming back to you guys, talking to you. I missed it a lot. Unfortunately, I don't know. Maybe a little bit is my fault. A little bit is YouTube. Me and YouTube just aren't meshing, man. So they're constantly punishing me. And, I know it's not just me, because I could have got my channel taken down. They actually reversed some of the strikes they put against my channel because they said that in their words, maybe we were too harsh. Like these companies like to write like they're your friend, like they're talking to you, like they're relatable. So it wasn't like a boilerplate response. It was like almost personal. We reviewed your content and your appeal, and maybe we were a little too harsh. We're going to remove the strike. So that shows you that somebody is negatively and overzealously monitoring my channel. I understand that now that the channel's even bigger, it's only going to get worse. I'm going to try and change my approach to YouTube ever so lightly and still be strategic, but I can't be disingenuous. I can't pretend to be somebody I'm not. I can't not enjoy the free speech that we're supposed to have in this America. And now listen, I'm intelligent enough to understand that this is not the government. This is not a free speech zone. This is a private company, and they have the choice and the decision power to decide what is on their platform. I get it. But somebody in politics said it, and I agree with it. This is no longer some fucking pet project for some nerds in a fucking garage. All right? This is the town square. This is the public square. All right? This is where we now gather as Americans to discuss our democracy. And I just feel like when YouTube and these other platforms put the hammer down on free speech, they're putting their thumb on the scale. They're starting to tell you what to think. They're starting to influence us. I'm going to keep fighting for you if you keep fighting for me. So, ladies and gentlemen, I have been and continue to be demonetized. If you want to support the channel, please consider hitting one of the links that I dropped inside of the chat for PayPal, Cash App, etc. Whatever you want to send, I'll take. I'm grateful for it. If it's $2, $5, I don't care. Thank you very much for your contribution to the show, because I am not monetized. I will not get 1 cent from YouTube. Also, consider buying the merch. We still are selling our merch, and I think YouTube will still allow you to buy the merch. If not, the link is there. Hit the link. Get yourself some Strategic Eyes t-shirts and hoodies and all that good stuff. I appreciate you guys immensely. Lastly, before we go, 4 likes away from 50 likes. Please do me a favor. If you haven't hit the like button yet, hit that like button now. Make sure that you change all of your subscriptions to all so that you get notified when I drop a new show. And make sure you're ready for this wild ride that is the Strategic Eyes Show. They kept me in a corner for a long time, but I broke out of it, and now it's time for us to ride. It's time to be heard. I see you guys on the next one. Strategic is out of here. Peace.